Professor Elara Vance lived amidst the quiet hum of her observatory. Perched high on Whisperwind Ridge, her world was measured in light years and spectral lines. Her companions, the silent, whirring telescopes and the countless pinpricks of light scattered across the velvety black dome above, years of meticulous observation had earned her respect. Yet her heart felt as vast and empty as the cosmic void she studied. She understood the precise dance of galaxies, the fiery birth and death of stars. But the simple warmth of human connection seemed like a distant, unreachable constellation. Loneliness was her constant shadow. Deeper than the night sky outside her high windows, she found solace only in the predictable, beautiful indifference of the universe. Charting paths of comets that felt more familiar than the faces in the nearby village below the ridge one crisp autumn evening. As Elara meticulously adjusted the focus on a nebula swirling like cosmic paint, a hesitant knock echoed through the observatory's stillness. Startled, she opened the heavy door to find a small boy, perhaps 7 years old, shivering slightly in the chill. His name was Leo, he stammered, and he was lost. His family's car had broken down on the winding mountain road, and in his panic and the gathering dusk, he'd wandered up the path towards the only lights he could see. The soft glow from her observatory windows, his eyes, wide with fear and exhaustion, held a flicker of awe as he glimpsed the enormous telescope dominating the room behind her. Seeing his vulnerability mirrored her own hidden ache, and Elara, against her usual reserve, invited him in. While Leo's parents were located, the boy remained quiet, huddled in a large armchair Elara provided. Wrapped in a spare blanket, he seemed overwhelmed by the strangeness of the place and his situation. Seeking to comfort him, and perhaps driven by a sudden impulse to share the one thing she truly loved, Elara gently guided him to the eyepiece of her main telescope. "Look," she whispered, her voice softer than usual. Leo peered in, his breath catching audibly. It's full of diamonds," he breathed, gazing at the dense star cluster known as the jewel box glittering in the eyepiece. That simple, wondrous observation, so different from her own clinical descriptions, struck a chord deep within Elara. A tiny spark ignited where only emptiness had been. Leo returned, not just once, but many times, always with his parents' grateful permission. What began as a gesture of kindness blossomed into an unexpected apprenticeship. Elara discovered Leo possessed a natural curiosity and a surprisingly keen eye. She taught him the names of constellations: Orion the hunter, steadfast in winter; Cygnus the swan, soaring along the Milky Way; Ursa Major, the Great Bear circling the pole star. He learned how stars were born in stellar nurseries, and how they died in spectacular supernovae, scattering the elements of life itself across the cosmos. Leo absorbed it all with rapt attention, his questions endless and insightful, reminding Elara of the pure, unjaded wonder she'd long buried under years of data and solitude. Years flowed like a quiet river beneath the ever-watchful stars. Leo became a fixture at the observatory, growing from a small, lost boy into a lanky teenager, then a serious young man pursuing his own degree in astrophysics. Elara aged too, her movements slower, her hair silver as moonlight, but her eyes still held the same sharp intelligence, now softened by the profound affection she felt for her unlikely protege. Their conversations ranged from complex theories to shared memories under the telescope's gaze. One cool summer night, as they sat on the observatory's deck sharing tea, watching the Perseid meteor shower streak across the sky, Leo spoke softly. "You know, Professor Vance, finding you that night, it felt like the stars arranged it, like they knew I needed to find my way, and you needed," he hesitated, "someone to share all this with." His words landed with the quiet weight of truth. Elara looked at him, then up at the familiar constellations, the countless stars whose positions and lives she knew intimately. Had it been mere chance, a boy lost on a mountain road? Or was there, perhaps, a deeper, more mysterious pattern at play? A cosmic kindness written in the very fabric of the night? The vast, indifferent universe suddenly felt profoundly intimate. Tears, unfamiliar but welcome, pricked her eyes as she realized the stars hadn't just been her solace. They had become the bridge to the connection she hadn't known she craved. Leo's hand found hers, warm and steady in that shared silence, under the infinite sky. Elara understood the loneliness that had defined her for so long had been gently rearranged, not by chance, but by the quiet, persistent pull of shared wonder and unexpected love. Orchestrated by the very heavens, she devoted her life to understanding. The stars hadn't just been observed. They had arranged a miracle long after Professor Vance passed peacefully. Her legacy lived on not just in her published papers, but in the thriving community observatory Leo established in her name on Whisperwind Ridge. People of all ages came to marvel at the universe, guided by Leo and others who shared his passion, and on clear nights, when the sky blazed with countless points of light, Leo would often pause, looking up with a familiar sense of quiet gratitude. He saw the constellations Elara had taught him, the distant galaxies she had charted, and he felt her presence not as a ghost, but as a warm certainty. He knew, deep in his heart, that the stars were still arranging connections, guiding lost souls towards unexpected beacons of light and understanding, just as they had guided a small, frightened boy to the lonely astronomer's door on a dark mountain road. So many years before, the universe, vast and mysterious, held within its infinite expanse an enduring promise of belonging.